Hey, it's DiAlto, and this is the Untamed the Wild Soul Woman podcast. From body image, sex, spirituality, money and relationships, to motherhood, creativity, business, communication, and desire, Untamed the Wild Soul Woman is the place to come for real stories and powerful advice to help you reclaim and redefine womanhood in the 21st century. Hello, sweet treats, wild friends, and lovers of all things Untamed. Real quick, before we dive into today's show, I just wanted to make sure you know where to go for all of the other extra resources that I create, not just here related to the podcast, but in general. So everything related to the Untame Yourself world exists over at untameyourself.com. You can head over there and enter your name and email anywhere on that homepage, and you will get email notifications every week when we write blog posts, which often are just deeper dives into the topics that we talk about here on the podcast. We do free video training series, online workshops. Sometimes we're collaborating on a deeper level with some of the women that we have here on the show. So if you don't want to miss out on any of those resources or any of the things coming up in the next few months that I have in the pipeline for you, one of which is going to be a free training on transparent communication, how to have a courageous conversation, and how to apply that to any kind of relationship in your life, which will be coming up in March or April. Haven't decided yet. Definitely enter your name and email at untameyourself.com so you don't miss out on any of those things. Also over there, for those of you who really love the show, who really love the conversations with women and really crave to connect with women like you who are on a similar path to you, but in a real life setting, like to get out of your town and to connect in person and circle up with women who you really can connect with, women who get you and will support you. I have a couple Untame Yourself weekend retreats going on in 2016, the next of which is April 29th through May 1st here in San Diego. So if that's something you're interested in, just to quickly let you know, what we really hone in on in those weekend retreats are the four main areas in life: health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality. So if you have anything that you'd like to work on, expand into, become more available and receptive for in any of those categories, check out a retreat. You can apply at untameyourself.com/weekend-retreat. And when you apply, I see all the applications. They come straight to me. If it's a good fit, I'll be in touch to schedule an interview and we'll go from there. So that was it. Just what I wanted to share with you before we get rolling today. Now for today's show. Elizabeth DiAlto here, your host for the Untamed the Wild Soul Woman podcast. And our topic for this week's Ask Elizabeth episode has to do with when seeking or when asking questions is actually interfering with you finding the answers. So one of the reasons why I love being able to do what I do is I learn so much in community with my women, on our group calls, on my one-on-one calls with clients. And this is something that came up on one of our mentorship calls recently, where someone was asking, we were talking about the topic was using your emotions as guidance and being able to use your body and tune into your body's sensation to identify what emotions you are feeling and to really learn what things feel like and where you feel them in your body so that you could be physically present with your emotions, because that really helps you to be able to navigate them and notice how intense they are, what helps them to go down, what increases their intensity. You can get a lot of information there. And so a woman in my group asked, are there any books or do you have any resources on this? To which my answer was no. The resource is your body. The resource is do the work. Do what we're talking about here. Implement it. Get the feedback from your body. Journal it out, or however it is that you want to record and observe yourself so that you can get the feedback and notice and learn your body's unique language of the senses. And it just got me thinking. I also, this is what made me decide to do this as the podcast episode this week. I was also on Facebook yesterday, and someone had posted somewhere in some group, not one of my groups, that she had just finished a certain book and she was looking for the next recommendation. And there was a piece of me that wanted to comment on the post, well, have you actually implemented what you read in the last book? Because I think a lot of people do this thing where they resource pile or they program hop. Where they're always looking for the next thing, but not necessarily implementing the last thing. And what's the point of gathering all of this information if we're not going to use it, if we're not going to integrate it, if we're not going to embody it? this is one of the things that I noticed. This was not my plan, but I noticed being one of the biggest benefits and outcomes of the Wild Soul Movement virtual program. Since it's an embodiment practice, and since we combine movement with mantras, what often happens for people is not that they're learning something new, but that they're remembering something they already know that they haven't been using. And I posted about this on Facebook a couple weeks ago when Mike and I were in Hawaii. We were sitting down at brunch with our friend Rosa, who we had stayed with in Maui, and she was talking about the difference between information and education. And information is just that, right? Giving more knowledge, giving more facts, giving more tools. But education is helping people remember what they already know. I just got off of a podcast interview with my dear friend Kate Northrup, and there was a moment when we were both saying, yeah, like, when was it that you noticed how good of a coach you are or how much you actually know about business? And she's like, yeah, I never realized until she was running these events where she was helping people in their businesses. And she's like, I'm good at this and I know a lot. And so instead of constantly seeking for more, what if you took the time to really ask yourself some questions related to the things that you're currently struggling with? So it's like, what am I pretending not to know right now? Or what tool do I already have that I might be able to apply to this situation? Or what have I already learned that would be useful in this scenario? What can I bring to this experience that I already know? Or what book was it that I found this thing in? And really, again, instead of stockpiling more and more that you're not going to use or that you haven't used yet, can you go into your own personal archives of your knowledge, of your wisdom, and see what is useful? I have this habit. I stopped doing it a couple months ago where, I would see a book recommendation and get so excited I'd want to just read it, and I'd order it on Amazon or I'd get it on my Kindle. And then I started to realize how many books I had that I haven't read, and how many topics I'm still only mildly learned in, and how many topics I'm deeply interested in that I want to go deeper on. And maybe deepening the exploration is part of helping the implementation and the integration. So today's topic, today's question is really an inquiry that I'm asking you. When and where in your life are you maybe using continuously asking, seeking to avoid actually dealing with something that you might already know? Or because you don't have confidence in what you already know, or in your ability to handle what's right in front of you. This kind of relates. So last week's episode was about triggers, and this was about the opportunity to look at what's right in front of us. So not worrying about what's in the blind spots or what's maybe lurking below the surface, but what's at the surface or what's above surface for you in your life right now, begging for your attention, that either you're avoiding or not dealing with. Because sometimes information overload or constant seeking, it's just another way to avoid dealing with what you've already got going on. So this is about slowing down the consumption, the intake. I actually heard this on the Tim Ferriss podcast several weeks ago. He said he had been making a conscious effort for less taking in of information and more reflection. So what can you maybe go back to that you've already consumed and flip through, maybe see where you took notes or what you highlighted? What can you do to remember what you already know or what you've already learned instead of just grabbing at more and more? How can you use what you've already learned? So this is a super short episode today. This isn't, again, the nature, it would be ridiculous of me to give you more information when the prompt here is an invitation to maybe reflect a bit more and implement and integrate what you already know. This might be a great journaling exercise for you. Take a look at all those resources. Maybe let go of some books, declutter that area of your house, give away some things you've either already used or you just are willing to finally admit to yourself that you're just not interested in. I had bought all these books about astrology late last year, or the fall of last year, and then I decided I don't want to study astrology. So I gave them away to people who were excited to study that. And so to just notice, where is it that you allow yourself, it's like that shiny object syndrome, to be distracted from maybe the things that really want your attention, maybe the things that could really use some reflection rather than just trying to throw something new on it, or overwhelming yourself or feeling like you have to learn or you don't know enough. here's the thing. You probably do know enough. You probably know more than enough. You've probably, in some areas of your life, forgotten more than you actually think you know right now. So this is a real big invitation to you this week to take stock of how much you already know. That wisdom that is just sitting inside of you, ready to be used if you are willing to go in, to listen to yourself and to trust yourself. So thank you so much for listening today. As always, if you have a question or something that you want to address in an Ask Elizabeth, you can email hello@wildsoulmovement.com. You're also welcome to come on in and post in our Facebook group anytime at untameyourself.com/Facebook. Talk to you later.
So what I went through was people who associated me with this identity as a feminist, which I am, but, oh, wait, you're a feminist, but you're going to get married early? You're not a feminist.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so judgments that way. And then once I became married and decided I stayed at home for a couple of years with my kids, people were like, what? You're wasting your education. On one end, women get it both ends. You're wasting your education. How dare you? And then the other end is, what? You're going back to work? You obviously don't put your family first. Right? So it's this nonsense we get from all facets of life.